how you doing? My name is Professor Green. I'm currently stood outside HMP Liverpool. I'm about to go inside to interview Billy Moore. Hello, mate.
Hello, matey.
How you doing?
Shaz. Lovely to meet you.
How's you? You alright?
Yeah.
Set the scene for me, because the film focuses on the period of time when you were in jail in Thailand. What came before that? What was childhood?
It was difficult. It was going up in that era of the Maggie Thatcher years, and it was one of loneliness and sadness, really. I think the only kind of intimacy we ever had growing up was my mum throwing the nick home through our hair on a Sunday night before school. See, I was the oldest out of 6. I became more of a parent at an early age.
But that's a big responsibility for anyone, let alone a child.
Yeah, but my mum, she always put food on the table. She was a hard-working woman. She was small in stature, but she was mighty in spirit. And my dad, bless him, he's passed away now, but he drank a lot and he was very violent with it, and it was like that alcoholic household.
It was very hard. That's why I blame myself a lot, because I did rely on Billy a lot when he was younger, because his dad was an alcoholic. He never helped. I was always on my own now. If I went anywhere, the 6 they'd all be with me. With Billy being the oldest, Billy sort of got... Billy would look after Joseph, especially with Joseph being autistic.
See, for me growing up, I always felt separate, different, and alone from my own family. Like someone looking through someone else's window and wanting to be involved in that family. I was always on the run, even when I was never in trouble. I was always trying to escape.
If you didn't find your place in your own family, where did you find your place?
On the corners, the street corners, with small gangs. I don't think they were acknowledged as gangs back then.
Were you just mates?
Yeah, it was just mates. It was just like camaraderie and a bit of unity, and collectively as a group you kind of helped each other.
And were other people going through similar situations?
Yeah. There was never any of that honesty or that humility. It's all that ego. Growing up, it was never... I could never have the courage to say, look, I'm frightened of going home because my dad knocks the living daylights out of me, you know what I mean? And my mum's always crying and there's no money on the table and we're really poor, and kids on the corner were kind of like that kind of family to me. I didn't wake up one day and go, I'm going to have a career in crime, or I'm going to spend the rest of my life, or at least 2 decades in prison. I wanted to be a boxer, and box for England. My dad was a boxer. Well, he said he was. Never actually seen him fight.
Tony, his dad, he used to read all boxing magazines and all this, and I think Billy was trying to impress him. I think it was more hard on Billy than the rest of them. I don't know why.
I'm not going to try and pretend it never happened. I was beaten a lot. There was a lot of physical violence, and the more I was exposed to it and I was beaten, the more numb I became to it, if that makes any sense.
Well, you become desensitised.
Yeah, it was... What scared me more was when it was going to happen. Right. That unpredictable fear. You know what I mean?
So you were always on edge?
Yeah, I was always on edge. This was quite sad, really. I remember really being excited. I had my first fight and I run home. And my dad was sitting on a chair, as he usually does, with his can of lager, watching the telly as he did, flicking his ash on the floor. That was who he was. And I ran in and I went, Dad, I've got this fight. He didn't even look at me. And he went, turned his telly over with his toes as well, because we never had a remote control, right? So the telly was right there, he used to do that. He went, if you don't knock him out in the first round, I'm going to knock you out. That was the first thing he said, and I went, oh my God. And I remember seeing this kid, I thought, I've got to knock you out. And it never happened in the first round. I stopped him in the second, and that was not good enough. You know what I mean? It was like, what do I have to do to kind of prove? You know what I mean? Boxing became something I really, really enjoyed. I didn't have to depend on anyone. If I lost, it was because I wasn't doing enough.
He really loved it. He did really love his boxing. He was brilliant. He was really good at it as well. He went over to Ireland and he won over there. He had loads and loads of trophies. I mean, I used to look forward to going and watching him. Because my dad and Dad used to, we'd all go and watch him, you know what I mean? And I think he felt as if he meant something then.
I think could have chosen another path. I put a substance in me.
And what was the substance?
It became it was cannabis initially. I think I even started earlier than that. I think it was Tamazipan, stealing them from my auntie's handbag when she used to come down. You know what I mean? I used to get that little jelly wobble.
Yeah.
She kind of like knew I was doing it, but didn't really like say nothing. And then it was alcohol briefly, and it just snowballed into addictions to heroin. Heroin, bang, that was it. And it happened in the 80s, the late 80s, when Liverpool was hit by that epidemic. It didn't only take lives, it took sons and brothers and limbs and mothers and family members away from people. You know, it separated society and communities, and it was like going to prison, and it became like a health farm. Go to the gym, get back out, go back. Just, everything was a war. I always remember, right? It was like, I'd always be fighting. I'd be fighting in the house, I'd be fighting on the streets, I'd be fighting on the prison landings, in the cells, in the ring. And the biggest war I ever fought was with how I felt, and admitting it, and going, you know what? I feel scared. I used to just drift through society with the wind blowing through my soul.
So how did you get to a place where you were able to come to terms with everything that you were feeling inside?
I was either going to end up dead, a using addict, and bring all that shame and embarrassment on my family, or fight back. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I did. I just kind of went, I need to kind of like fight for my life really. My journey was never straight.
What was your idea of what being a man was growing up?
Someone who didn't cry. I used to, like, if I'd go out and there'd be fights in the street and I'd come in and I'd be crying to my daddy, and you get it, don't you dare, you stop crying, you know what I mean? Get out there and go and look the living daylights out of him and all that. I think being a man was like being in control.
You're talking about communication, you know, trying to talk to him. I mean, you went to Thailand, you were teaching English, and then you've ended up in a place where you can't. I mean, how did you navigate your way around that jail and through the situations you found yourself in without being able to communicate? Thai wasn't a language that you spoke.
I knew a little bit, just like through being in the boxing community, but it was just passable Thai. You know, there was no communication. There was a guy, one of the staff members wanted to learn English. Well, he could speak English as good as I spoke Thai, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'd sit me down for half an hour a day, and we'd converse. At the time, it helped, but also I knew what they were saying about me.
Right, yeah.
You know, when they were saying things and I was in earshot, and, you know, I'd kind of react. I'd take it all personal. I was very sensitive, and I'd become really violent. And I'd never win. I'd always get battered, but it was like more than one, and I'd go back for more, and it was like repeating the same mistake but accepting different results. All that insanity of it all, and slowly committing suicide on a daily basis. I think being a man today is having feelings and being human, you know, and being vulnerable. They've got a lot of services that provide a lot, mental health.
Growing up, I didn't even know what mental health was.
No.
You never heard anyone speak about mental health.
Lunatic, that's all you got.
Well, you heard mental,
yeah,
but you never heard mental health.
No, he's mental, he's round a bend. And I felt comfortable with names like that.
Yeah.
Because you can't, it was like a coping mechanism. It was like, I felt safe if you sort of like went, oh, you know what, he's not well, he's round a bend. And, you know, really inside, it was like, you know, is that what people really think of me?
You speak of your mum in really high regard, but she's not a part of the film.
No, but she's a part of my story, and she's a part of my book. And in the first page of the book, it was like, this book is dedicated to a small woman with a big heart, and that was my mum, and that's how I acknowledged her. Yeah. She's very shy, she's camera shy, my mum. You know what I mean?
I feel a bit like that, but I was brought up by my nan, and she's similar. Whenever I get her on camera and try and talk to her, like, and I start bringing up stuff from my past, she's like kicking me under the table, going, don't talk about debt collectors coming around, don't, you know, it's that same sort of upbringing. She don't want, don't know you do it, dirty laundry.
I spoke to her last night, and she was the same. I'm not getting on there, I won't do this. She's lovely, she's always been solid, my mum. She's been everywhere, you know, like, she's travelled to prisons all over the country, like, and, you know, never always been there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I respect that, and, you know, love the bones of it, to be honest.
When he was over in Thailand, as far as I was concerned, Billy was doing really well. He was teaching, and that's all I knew. I knew nothing else. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call from the British Embassy telling me that Billy was in prison in Thailand, which nearly dropped down dead, to be honest with you. I just couldn't believe it, you know what I mean? I thought he was doing so well, and what's happened? Really and truly, I think I was more disappointed because I was so proud of the way he turned his life round. I really was proud of him. You know, I mean, I knew nothing about this until I read that book. And I mean, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. I mean, every time I pick that book up now, I do get really... It does upset me when I read it.